So here we are in Darchei Noam, and this is a principal of Darchei Noam.
Hi, Shalom Aleichem everybody. My name is Lavey Freedman, and 14 years ago I founded Talmud Torahat Darchei Noam to serve the Haredi Anglo Olim who are coming from America and wanted a cheder that was very warm, very sensitive, very gentle, very caring, where midos and derech eretz are paramount. We have a very high level, Baruch Hashem, of Limudei Kodesh, and a high level of Limudei Chol, secular studies, where the boys are learning on a very academic level. Baruch Hashem, we started 14 years ago with 20 students. We're Baruch Hashem over 200 students today. We've graduated 7 classes. Here you can see our graduating pictures of our classes. We look forward to greeting you. I'm happy to meet with anybody on Zoom to answer all your questions about the different options for Chadarim here in Ramat Beit Shemesh. There are a lot of people coming from America now, and Canada, and England, who are interested in sending their son here to Darchei Noam, to Haredi Anglo Cheder, where you can really get the best of both worlds, both in Kodesh and in Chol, Midos, and Derech Eretz, in a warm, kind, caring atmosphere. I look forward to greeting you. I look forward to answering all your questions. I do want to say that over the past 14, 15 years here in Ramat Beit Shemesh, the options and the ability to make Aliyah for the Haredi Anglo Oleh coming from North America has really expanded, and there really are the answers now. Whereas 15 or 20 years ago, people used to say, we can't make Aliyah because there are not so many chinuch options. Where will we find a cheder that would cater to the American family that's coming in from Passaic, from Baltimore, from Muncie, from all over? The answer, Baruch Hashem. Kosh Baruch has given siyata d'shmaya that we've been able to open up the maistas that can now cater to the Haredi Anglo Oleh, and we look forward to greeting you and answering all your questions.
Thank you so much. So if parents are interested in signing up, how do they go about it?
So first of all, I think it's important as for the most important decision you're going to make for your children, for your Aliyah, is to situate your children correctly in the right maistas, in the right schools, in the right cheders, in the right Beis Yaakov. I always like to say that if your children are happy, then you'll be happy. If God forbid your children are miserable, unfortunately you probably also will be miserable. So we really want to situate your children well. I would encourage you to educate yourselves about the different choices that are available. There's a gamut, as opposed to some communities in America where you might have one cheder with 8 classes, for each grade, 8 first grades and 8 second grades and 8 third grades. Here in Ramat Beit Shemesh, we'll have 8 chadarim, each with 1 class, we give you a lot of choices. Some have more limudei kodesh, some have more limudei chol, some have more Israeli approach, some have a more American approach. I would encourage you to educate yourself about the different choices available, the different types of hashkafot, and where the boys go afterwards, and to really avail yourself of the different choices that are here. Educate yourself about the choices, and visit 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 places, whether it's in person on a pilot trip if that's possible, or virtually on Zoom. Speak to people and really educate yourself about the choices, and hopefully with siyata d'shmaya and the right tefillas, you'll make the right decision.
Thank you so much. If the parents would ask, what type of families fit into the category of your school?
Very good. So I would try to. It's hard to label us, but we call ourselves the Anglo Haredi School. I call us the normal Haredi School. That again are people who are firmly situated within the cheder world, but still believe there should be a warm, kind, caring, gentle atmosphere with a lot of midos and derech eretz. Also value limudei chol, secular studies. We have a lot of the Olim who come here. The fathers work. They're lawyers, they're doctors, they're architects, they're computer scientists, and they want to make sure that their children have a secular education as well. Limudei chol, English and math and science and Hebrew and history and geography. So we need to make sure that their children are receiving the same options that they received, because the fathers are out there and the mothers are out there working in the working world. So we want to make sure that the children match with that type of education. So again, those who are firmly planted within the cheder world, but would be sending to a type of cheder that would also want a strong limudei chol, secular studies, academic approach to their learning, and what we believe is also a positive outlook towards Medinat Yisrael, Klal Yisrael in general. There's a big marechet that's going on here in Eretz Yisrael right now, we have our brothers who are fighting in the army for us. We have to have a karas hatov for them. Our boys are not in the masloul that are going to end up in the army for the most part, but we do need to have a karas hatov for our chayalim. That's very, very important to have a positive outlook towards our chayalim, proper karas hatov to the marechet that's going on here. We teach that to the children. We think that they're living in a special time, in a special place, in a special country. It's a bracha to be able to live here after 2,000 years. You have to live here with Mesiras Nefesh, so we have to be cognizant of the fact that there's a marechet going on over here. We very often, before Purim, before Hanukkah, we take packages over to our chayalim. We thank them for being Hashem Shlichim and protecting us. It's also an important approach. So what we believe is a proper outlook and proper approach within the Cheder world. We're in the Cheder box, but within the Cheder box, we've slept in these three ideals of Midos and Derech Eretz in a warm, caring atmosphere, Limudei Chol, secular studies, and a proper outlook towards Medinat Yisrael and the Marechet that's going on over here.
Beautiful. How about Olim that come here and they are supposed to get Ulpan? How does that work with the boys?
Great, very, very good. So each school is part of different systems, and each school avails the children of different type of Ulpan sessions. Our Ulpan sessions are slightly subsidized by the Misrad HaChinuch, but they're still expensive for the parents to pay for. They come out about 70 or 75 shekel a session. That's after the subsidy for those who are making Aliyah. So some people in America would laugh at the fact that we're charging whatever it is, 70 shekel a session for Ulpan, but it does add up after a while. So the different levels of Ulpan that's available, I would call our Ulpan intensive and expensive. So the parents have to pay for it privately, but it does work. I would say I would give your child, depending on how old he is, and each child is different in terms of language acquisition, but we generally recommend about a year's worth of Ulpan once they arrive here in Ramat Beit Shemesh to really catch them up academically so they can begin to be proficient in Hebrew, reading and writing and speech.
So the your school does not associate with the Ulpan from the Misrad HaKlita?
No, we're not. We're not part of it. We get a small or less subsidy, which we apply to the Ulpan sessions, but it is more expensive probably than, I don't know what the other schools are charging, but we are a little more expensive for sure because we're Mukar She'eino Shmi. We don't get the same funding, so it is a little more expensive than our competitor for sure.
So speaking of prices, can we discuss a little bit of what's the price range of the
Sure,
tuition?
it's about, I'd say, you'll laugh when you're coming from America, but it's about $2,800 for the year. $2,800 to $3,000 for the year. For tuition, we're more expensive than our neighbors because we are a private cheder, as there are other chadarim that are part of the more involved in Misrad HaChinuch and less involved in Misrad HaChinuch. They're able to adjust their prices accordingly. We're on the more expensive end, but we're a private cheder and we also have smaller classes because of that. We're able to have 20, 21, 22 students in the class, and we really think that to be able to do chinuch properly, you need to have small classes and personal attention. But because of that, we're a little more expensive than our neighbors. Yeah.
And Darchei Noam starts from what age?
From Gan Arba, 4 years old.
4 years old till 8th grade?
Till 8th grade, yes.
And what are the schools that accept boys after Darchei Noam? Like what other schools?
Where do the boys go after Darchei
Right.
Noam for 9th grade? Very, very excellent question. So in the Haredi world in general, there's a 98%, 2% split. 98% of the Haredi world will go to something called Yeshiva Katana for 9th grade, which is full-time learning. That's full-time learning Torah already at the age of 14, which is amazing. And if your son is ready to learn full-time already at the age of 14 for 9th grade, amazing. So we have some of our boys who want to learn full-time already at the age of 14. Great. They go to Yeshiva Katana, the famous one in the neighborhood that they go to. The top one is called Or Torah. Some boys, even if they love to learn, they also need 2 hours a day where they do some math and some science and some English and some computers and get what's called a bagrut and get a high school degree. So about 80% of our Talmidim will continue in that Haredi high school path, which is again a Haredi high school, but it has 2 hours a day of limudei chol. It has the bagrut studies. So I'd say about half the class will go to a famous one known as Ma'arava, which is again a Haredi Yeshiva high school where they learn the whole day except for 2 hours a day where they're doing limudei chol, they're doing bagrut. The only issue with that for some parents is that Ma'arava is a dorm. So that means the boys are only coming home for Shabbos. And many American mothers are not ready to send their son away and only see him Shabbos. They want him to come home every night so they can go like this to him. And that's very important. We don't belittle that. So there's another option in the neighborhood known as Mesivta. a very popular option. Mesivta is again a Haredi Yeshiva high school where they learn the whole day except for 2 hours a day. They're doing secular studies, they're doing the Mulichol, they're getting a Bagrut. So let's break it down again. 20% of the class is going to go to Yeshiva Katana, full-time learning. Half the class is going to go to Ma'arava, which is Yeshiva Katana high school with Bagrut, with a dorm. And the remainder, about 30%, 40%, depending on the breakdown of the year, will go to Mesivta, which is again a local Yeshiva Haredi high school. They learn the whole day, except for 2 hours a day they do Bagrut, but they come home at night and sleep in their own warm and fuzzy beds.
Wonderful. Is there any last words that you would like to say to the
Yes, for sure.
To the parents?
The upside to raising your children here in Eretz Yisrael, in Ramat Beit Shemesh, is worth it. It comes with Mesiras Nefesh. But the amount of tamimisticness, the amount of ruchnius that your children can gain from being raised in Ramat Beit Shemesh, from being raised in a cheder here in Eretz Yisrael, is infinite and limitless. It's difficult, it's challenging. The first few months are certainly challenging. To acquire Hebrew language is a challenge. However, the upside to raising your children here in Ramat Beit Shemesh, how much Torah they'll know, the way our third graders know Mishnayos Bal Peh, and fourth graders are rattling off Mishnayos, the way the fifth graders are able to learn Gemara, the way our sixth graders know Perek HaMafkid in Gemara, the amount of ruchnius they're able to attain, and also the lack of the less in tune to the Gashmias needs of their counterparts in America, less in tune to the secular culture of that of America. I'm not trying to knock anything, but the more ruchnius approach, the more ruchnius way our children are being raised, is worth it beyond a shadow of a doubt. So I do encourage, if you're able to do it, to try your best to look into it. I don't think that education is an excuse anymore. In other words, if people 15, 20 years ago would say, listen, I want to make Aliyah, but how am I going to mechanech my children? How am I going to find the chinuch for that children that I would be comfortable with here in Ramat Beit Shemesh? That's no longer a problem. We've, Baruch Hashem, solved it. There are Maistas, there are Chadarim, and Beis Yaakovs that cater to the Anglo Haredi Olim who want to make Aliyah. So education is not an excuse anymore. Adarabah, the education is the reason to come. There are other issues, parnasa and family issues. Those are challenges. I can't answer those for everyone. They're personal questions. But in terms of the chinuch is here waiting for you.
What is the sister school for the school?
Most of the boys who are here, all the boys, their sisters are in the local Beis Yaakovs. The three famous local Beis Yaakovs that the sisters go to is the classical Beis Yaakov Harama. There's also the Magen Avot Beis Yaakov, and there is Benos Malka Beis Yaakov. Those are the three Beis Yaakovs that the boys' sisters go to, and they are all excellent.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing everyone here in Israel.
I'm happy to meet with anybody personally on Zoom, answer all your questions about chinuch, about Ramat Beit Shemesh, about Aliyah in general.
Great.
And you will maybe thank me one day for this conversation. And if I can be part of making Aliyah, your Aliyah smoother, if I can be part of it, and that enables you to build a Bayis Neman Bi Yisrael, and that's with a capital Yud, Bi Yisrael, then Matav U'Manai.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is Gan Chova, right?
It's Gan Chova, it's Gan Meshulav, it's Gan Chova.
באמונה שלמה הולכים רק אחריך אבא, את התפילות תמיד תמיד אתה שומע אבא, ומקווים שיום אחד הכל פה יסתדר, כי על העם הזה תמיד אתה שומר. אתה שומר עלינו, כל בוקר בא לי להגיד לך תודה על החיים, על ילדים, על השמחה, תודה על כל רגעי האושר המושלם, תודה לך על השבת מלך העולם. באמונה שלמה הולכים רק אחריך אבא, את התפילות תמיד תמיד אתה שומע אבא, ומקווים שיום אחד הכל פה יסתדר, כי על העם הזה תמיד אתה שומר.
is
They're
where.
all on Zoom today because of the Seger. And when on a usual day, during recess, they'll be playing. We have NBA size regulation hoops, of course, because kids need to play sports. It's very important for kids to play sports. We're very into playing sports, basketball, and football, and soccer. We're very into it, and that's how kids grow. Part of it, sports, and finding them what we call them their wows. A child has to feel wow about himself. Either you get him his wows in his classroom, or you also get them when he's playing sports or musical instrument. We have musical chugim and every instrument that kids would want. So we have Sunday is keyboard, and Monday is guitar, and Tuesday we have chalalit, recorder, Wednesday we have choir. So there's a lot of different musical chugim that are going on over here, and the sports. There's a lot of chance for a child to shine, both inside and outside the classroom.
Wonderful.
באמונה שלמה הולכים רק אחריך אבא, את התפילות תמיד תמיד אתה שומע.